Good morning, everyone. It's my great honor to attend the conference. First, let me spend a few minutes to introduce myself and economics in China. I'm a professor in Chinese university. I give students economic courses, though the name of the course is not economics, but I give them economics courses. And I have published about 10 books on economics. Some of them are translated from English, and some of them are written by myself. And I also write essays for media to spread economics. Every year, I write about 100 articles. And economics in China, economics is the most popular at non-government sector, such as among the entrepreneurs. They like economics very much. But economics is not so popular in the university, but in the non-government is very, very popular. And most of the important books of economics have been published in Chinese, such as Hayek's books, Mises' books, Rothbard and Kuznets, etc. For example, we have four Chinese versions of human action in China. Two of them is Taiwan Chinese, and two are mainland Chinese. So, and we have Ultra conference every year, Ultra Society conference in China every year. This year is the 15th Ultra Economics conference in China now. So I can say Ultra Economics is very popular in China now. Now back to the topic today. I want to introduce Chinese economic reform. Yesterday, Eric Weed gave a very exciting report on Chinese economy. Maybe you still remember it. Now I will continue to explain why Chinese achieved so great success in the past, and why Chinese now faces so big difficulty. I will explain it from the perspective of economics. Now, firstly, I want to explain what the dual check system is. In fact, dual check system is a very common case everywhere, in every country. It means both government dominated sector and both the market sector coexisted. Before reforming, Chinese is a market economy. That's one checked. And when Chinese began to reform, and the market sector beginning appear, and so the market sector and the government sector coexisted. It's the dual check system, and it's a phenomenon. And some Chinese economists summarize it as a policy. It's a policy. It's a phenomenon and also a policy. And this policy play a very important role to promote Chinese economic reforming. But we all know, the final goal of reforming should be laissez-faire market, rather than dual check system. But I mean, more and more market sector and less the government sector. It's the goal of the reforming. But in China now, it seems that this policy has stopped. So I want to explain why this policy reforming system have stopped now. And the first part of my presentation, I want to I want to say China has unintentionally taken paths of reform in line with Austrian School of Economics. Maybe you are surprised to it how China can follow a line of Austrian Economics School of Economics. Yes, I can say it's true. Since the end of the 1970s, the Chinese government has released the control of farmers, and the farmers are freed from the collectivist production model, the production team. Maybe you have heard of the production team. It's similar to the farmer of the former Soviet Union, and the farm. It's mean in the production team, farmers work together, and they have no rights to decide how much to plant and what to plant. They only finish the task given by the leader of the team. And when the reform beginning and the production team collapsed, and the market price immediately emerged. The market price emerged. And what's the significance of the market price? I can say it's very important for action. We all know, Ludwig Mises said, price is a condition for economic calculation, also for rational action. When there's a price, rational action is possible. And when there is a rational action, the institution emerged from the action spontaneously. It's just like the money emerged spontaneously from the trade media. And when the new institution emerged spontaneously, and the government can choose and can find what kind of institution is conducive to economic development. So it's easy for government to choose, to decide, and to find which institution is better. So we can see market price make government's rational action possible. So it's exactly what we usually say of China's reform experience. It's a very, you can say it's a very high theory, according with Hayek's theory. The Chinese government did not design the reform path. That means Chinese reform is more spontaneous than designed. I can give an example. It's not until 1992 that the Chinese government officially admit or recognize the market economy. And before 1992, the market has run for more than 10 years. For example, the company law officially passed in 1993, and the contract law officially passed in 1999. And before the laws officially passed, people had to do business with their own laws. So we can say thousands of the laws cannot be constructed in advance. They can only emerge spontaneously from the market. So it's deregulation and confirmation that makes China move toward the market economy. And the Chinese economic growth is the result of the market policies. So it's a market policies and resulting in the economic growth. So you may ask, why was there market policies in China, or why there were no market policies in the Soviet Union or Eastern Europe, at least at the earlier stage of reform? So I can say maybe Chinese reform is more successful than that of the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, at least at the earlier stage, I think. Now let's come to the second part of my presentation. I think China has a very special background backgrounds of reform. It's a different. I mean, China has a different background from the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. Chinese reform is called Asia Revolution. It's a concept from Leonard Coase, Leonard, very famous new institutional economist. He wrote a book on Chinese economic reforming. The meaning of Asia Revolution is that Chinese reform started from the rural area, from the countryside, not from the city. Why the Chinese reform started from the rural area or countryside? There are two reasons. One is that there is less regulation in the rural regions. Government control less in the rural area. And the second is that for the farmers, they have no social security and no welfare. They are more eager to change their destiny with their own effort. They're much eager for freedom because they have no social security. They have nothing to lose at the reform. So, and so maybe you will ask furtherly, why did China's economic regulation be less than that of the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe before the reform? I think one reason is that Chinese industrial base is quite weak. Industry is before the reforming. And the second is China has a very big population. Very big population. So it's impossible to establish large number of state-owned enterprise to include all the people into the government-controlled sectors. And that means many people living outside the planning department before reforming. In China, before reforming, many farmers live outside the government-controlled sector. So that means it means the entrepreneurship reserved because they live outside the government-controlled sector. And the market, so when the people are freed from the regulation, the market policies was created when they are free, when they are allowed to make a living by themselves. And the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe are different from China. Before reform, state-led industrialization was completed. That means most of the people has become workers in the factory. They know how to operate the machine, but they don't know how to do business, maybe how to manufacture something. For example, many Chinese farmers have some hand-crafted skill. Hand-crafted skill because for example, they know how to make tires, they know how to make shoes, they know how to make clothes for the farmers. So when they have opportunities, they will make a living. They will trade with this kind of skills. But maybe it's not same situation to the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. So even there is a privatization reform, there's no market policies in these countries. I mean, even there's a privatization reform, there's no market policies. And the same is true to Northeast China. In Northeast China, there are a lot of state-owned enterprises. In Northeast China, there are 3 provinces. And the reforms there also failed, like the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, I think. And the economic development level is quite low compared with the Eastern and the South China and the Eastern part of China. So we can say privatization is not equal to marketization. It's a two different concepts. Marketization means entrepreneurship, means is freedom, means do anything you want to do. But privatization just means own something from the government. The government distribute something to you. So the property you own from the government is different from the property you you're owned by exercising entrepreneurship. You're earned from the consumer. I think it's two different kind of polarity. And the third part I want to explain the reason for the stagnation of China's economic reform. I think Eric Weed mentioned it yesterday. Recently, Chinese Party, CPC, Communist Party of China, stressed to establish a system characterized by public ownership and distribution according to the work. I mean, it's go backward. The goal can be summarized as market economy under government control. It's usually maybe called the Chinese model. But I think it's possible. Of course, don't think it's possible. Market government control cannot coexist with the market economy. So, what caused China's reform to stagnate? What's the reason for the Chinese reform to stagnate? I think the first reason is Chinese economic reform is pragmatic oriented. Maybe you have heard of Deng Xiaoping's famous word, no matter white cat or black cat, the cat that can catch the mouse is a good cat. That means the workable is acceptable. The second reason is that the Chinese economic principle not followed. We don't follow economic principle. For example, in China, local government responsible for local economic development, they participate in resource allocation. That will distort the market price. Government still control the land, control the bank system. So we can say China has gone through the process from confirm to control since 1978. Or we can say go through from deregulation to regulation. And the government controlled financial sector have collided very severe inflation. For example, the house price rise 10 times since 2000, and the pork price doubled since last year. And the inflation has resulted in recession and the risk of social unrest. And in this case, the government's choice is to maintain social stability rather than reform. So the government take more and more measures to control the society in order to realize social stability. Now, the last part I want to say, mainstream economics is also the reason that hinders China's reform. In China, new classical economics and Keynesian economics dominate in classroom and journals. Most of the professors work for the government, they earn money from the government. It's easy for them to make money from the government sector. So it's they stop the Chinese economic policies. Many economists, such as Stephen Chang, maybe you have know him, is a very famous new institutional economist. He even regarded government's allocation of resources as a Chinese advantage. So, it's my conclusion is that at some degree, China's economic reform is highly spontaneous policies. But rational said by Mises, that correct understanding of the economic principle is absent. I mean, Chinese people don't understand the economics of, especially economics. There will be two results for it. One is that China may lose its achievement made so far, and the other is that the road to reform may eventually transfer to the road to serfdom. I hope our country will can avoid the tragedy of UTPA, because we have suffered from UTPA before 1978. I hope our country can avoid it. But I think it depends on whether we can understand economic principle. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, we can take, there's a lot of questions and we are running short of time, so maybe we could take a few questions at once. Maybe we can take 3 questions at once and move the rest to the coffee break.
Yeah, thank you for your excellent lecture. I have 2 questions. The dual track system exists in all countries, more or less. More or less. In Austria, the share of the state is 52% in the economy. In France, it is even 58%. In Switzerland, it is only 33%.
Yes.
But everywhere we have a dual-track system.
Yes.
So my question is, would you say that stagnation is in all countries the end result? My second question is, what is the influence of the Hong Kong economy on the Chinese economy? Was there a positive effect of the Hong Kong economy, or is there a separation of the two? How do you see this interconnection between the two economies?
So first answer the question. Sorry. Thank you for your question. Yes, you are right. The dual track system is very common for all countries. So you can say the reform of stagnation, the reform stagnated everywhere. You can say it. I think. The reason is for it is the theme. I think they have many. We can say how Chinese economic reforms stated have the same reason for the other countries. We share the same reason for stagnation. I think the most important one is a long idea of the market, such as a market failure. This is a long concept of the market. So we can say classic. Maybe we can. Reform should happen everywhere, not only in China. The second question is about Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong play a very important role for Chinese economic development and Chinese reforming. Now, especially at the early stage of Chinese reforming, now the role of Hong Kong is four, I think. Compared the law of Hong Kong toward the Chinese economy is 4, because other cities can take the place of Hong Kong, such as Shanghai, Shenzhen. They can take the place of Hong Kong. But even though there's most of the foreign capital transferred from Hong Kong to mainland China. So Hong Kong is still very important to China.
Žiga Turk, Slovenia. I have a bilateral project with Tsinghua University in Beijing, actually on engineering. And what I have noticed is very much along the lines what you were saying and what Professor Wiede was saying yesterday. It's an engineering project. I had a keynote and I was attending some Chinese conferences this year. And it seems that the entire country is going technologically in one direction. So when there is kind of technological breakthrough, everybody is trying to do the same. While I was explaining to them in Europe, France would do this way, Sweden would go other ways, Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, and so on. Do you see a future possibility, opportunity, that the Chinese provinces would be kind of more autonomous and start competing with each other with different kind of models, different solutions, different approaches, not, the whole country marching in the same direction?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I once write some articles related to your problem. We hope I hope there are more competition happened at the local area between the local province. I think it's helpful for the Chinese economic. But now I find the trend is opposite. There's less and less competition happened between the local level, and more government control at the central level. The government strengthened its central level and in recent years, and less freedom for the local government to compete each other.
Thank you very much, Professor.